Does anyone have any experience with a quickly progressing pregnancy? 2 nights ago, my wife and I slept in the same bed for the first time in months. The next morning, she woke up nearly bursting at the seams. Her skin was taut, her stomach impossibly round, and her breathing shallow like she'd just run a marathon. Her words are garbled now, sentences broken, half-formed. Her eyes, the last real part of her that still looks human, are terrified. And I don't know what else we can do. The island's connection is weak, so I don't even know if this will reach the mainland. But if it does, please send help. My wife, Sydney, and I have been on the verge of collapse for the better part of a year. I'd stopped trying long before she came home one evening, beaming like she had some miracle cure in her hands, a glossy flyer advertising a couple's renewal retreat in the Caribbean. Caleb, look. It says they have a 100% guarantee. If it doesn't work, we get our money back. Plus, look at those white sand beaches. I remember staring at the page, the turquoise water, the perfect palm trees bending gently under an airbrushed sky. It looked fake. Too perfect. Still, I nodded, smiled the way you do when you've already run out of fight. I figured maybe a change of scenery couldn't hurt. What's the harm in one last try? The package cost $1,800, flights included. That should have been my first red flag. Nothing that cheap is ever what it seems. But we went. In early April, we traded the gray slush of Illinois for the promise of something brighter. I even caught myself feeling a little hopeful when we landed, just for a moment. At the airport, a young man in a linen suit was waiting for us, holding a small sign with our names. He didn't speak much, only gestured politely toward the dock where a sleek white boat bobbed against the waves. It glittered under the sun like a pearl, out of place in the small, weathered harbor. On board, we were greeted by attendants who smiled too wide and spoke too softly. They poured us red wine that tasted expensive and offered cheeses and chocolates I couldn't pronounce. For the first time in months, I watched my wife laugh, genuinely laugh. Her eyes caught the light, her cheeks pink from the sun and wine, and for a fleeting second, I thought maybe this could work. I didn't notice how odd it was that we were the only passengers on that boat. The island appeared out of the horizon like a mirage. Palm trees swayed in a lazy rhythm, the sand impossibly white, the air shimmering with heat. A tall, thin man stood waiting for us at the end of the dock. He had a smile that stretched too wide across his narrow face and a name that sounded more like a placeholder, Counselor S. "Welcome to Renewal, my friends," he said, grasping my hand in a firm shake before pressing a too long kiss onto Sydney's cheek. It lingered just a little too long. His eyes flicked toward mine as if he wanted me to react. I forced a polite smile instead. Maybe it was a cultural thing, I told myself. Behind him, a shorter, rounder man wordlessly gathered our luggage and led us up a winding path through lush tropical foliage. The air was thick with the smell of flowers and salt. The birds were loud, almost too loud, like a sound recording looping on repeat. The villa was stunning, unreal, even. A chandelier hung from the vaulted ceiling of the entryway, light scattering off crystal facets in 100 tiny rainbows. 2 grand staircases curved upward on either side of a glimmering indoor pool. Our suite alone was larger than our apartment back home. The bed looked untouched, crisp sheets tucked so tight it was as if no one had ever slept there. Counselor S smiled with teeth that looked too perfect to be real. "Your week of transformation begins now," he said, placing a hand over his heart. "Miguel, our chef, will prepare your meals. Everything here is designed to help you heal." He said the last word like it meant something more than emotional repair. When he finally left, Sydney wandered into the bathroom and ran herself a bath, humming softly. The sound echoed faintly through the villa, distorted by the high ceilings. I stayed back in the bedroom, setting down the small welcome basket on the bed, chocolates, cheese, a bottle of wine, and a note written in delicate, looping script. "Dinner will be served at sunset. For best experience, let dissolve on tongue for truthfulness and openness. The Renewal Team." 2 small translucent squares were taped to the note. I frowned. "Sydney, can you come here for a sec?" "Ugh, can't you just bring it to me?" she groaned, splashing water. I waited a half minute before she finally appeared in a robe, her hair damp and her skin glowing from the bath. "What is it?" she asked, brushing water from her shoulder. I held out the note. "Look at this." They're asking us to eat something before dinner. Her expression shifted, curiosity first, then fascination. Before I could stop her, she plucked one of the squares from the paper and placed it on her tongue. "Sydney, what the hell are you doing?" I shouted, instinctively snatching the note back. "I want this to work, Caleb," she said softly, voice trembling between hope and something else, desperation maybe. "We came all this way. We have to trust the process." The words were too smooth, like she was reciting something she'd heard before. I hesitated, glancing at the other square. My stomach twisted. Then she gasped, eyes wide. "Caleb, it's working," she whispered. "It's beautiful." She looked past me, unfocused, as if staring into another world entirely. Her pupils dilated until they almost swallowed the color from her eyes. "What is?" I asked, reaching for her shoulder. She smiled, a soft, dreamy smile, and before I could pull away, she jammed the second square into my mouth. I tried to spit it out, but it had already begun to dissolve, a bitter metallic taste coating my tongue. My heartbeat thundered in my ears as the room's edges began to shimmer. The air grew heavy. The chandelier light fractured and pulsed, bending in slow waves like I was underwater. Sydney's voice echoed strangely, splitting into two tones, one high, one impossibly deep. "Do you see it now?" I blinked, and for a moment, the room wasn't the same. The walls were breathing. The air rippled with color, sound folding over itself in rhythmic pulses. Sydney stood before me, her robe slipping slightly, eyes glassy and distant. The smile she wore no longer looked like hers. It was too serene, too still. "They're coming," she said softly. When I woke the next morning, I was on the floor beside the bed. My head throbbed, and a faint metallic taste lingered in my mouth. The note and basket were gone. Sydney was standing by the window, humming. Her skin looked pale, almost translucent under the morning light. "You passed out," she said without turning around. "Counselor S came to check on you. He said it's normal for first-timers." "First-timers?" I croaked. What the hell was in that thing? She didn't answer, just kept humming, that same tune from the bath the night before. The next few days blurred together. Counselor S led us through strange exercises, trust walks through dense jungle paths, meditation sessions where we were told to listen for the heartbeat of the island. At night, the villa seemed to come alive. I'd hear faint whispers through the vents, like a dozen voices speaking underwater. Sydney slept soundly beside me, but sometimes her lips moved, forming words I couldn't make out. On the fourth night, I woke to find her standing by the mirror, hand pressed to her stomach. It was rounder, fuller. "Are you okay?" I asked, panic creeping into my voice. She turned slowly. Her eyes were wide with wonder, not fear. "It's growing," she said dreamily. "He said this is part of the healing." "He who?" "The counselor," she whispered. "He said this is how we become one again. How do we renew?" I stumbled backward, heart pounding. "Sydney, that's insane. We're leaving. Tomorrow." But when I tried to call for a boat, the phone only buzzed with static. The internet flickered once, then died. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard movement outside, soft steps circling the villa. Sometimes, I swore I heard her whispering in another language. Now it's been 6 days. Sydney can barely speak. Her belly looks wrong, not just swollen shifting, like something inside her is moving under the skin, rearranging itself. When I try to touch her, she recoils. Her skin is fever hot, and when she looks at me, her pupils flicker like candle flames. Counselor S still visits, always smiling, always calm. "She's almost through the transition," he told me this morning. "You should be proud, Caleb. Few couples make it this far." I asked what that meant, transition into what. He just tilted his head and said, "Into what you both asked for. A new beginning." Then he handed me another square. "You'll need this to understand." I threw it in his face and slammed the door. Now the villa is silent except for the wind and the occasional creak of the boards. Sydney's breathing is shallow. Her stomach moves in small, rhythmic pulses, like something's knocking from the inside. I don't think we're on any map. I don't think the world knows this place exists. If anyone reads this, please, don't come here. Don't trust the flyers. Don't trust the promise of renewal. Because I can hear the heartbeat now, not the island's, but hers. And it's not human. Subscribe for more stories like this, and let me know about your thoughts in the comment section.